Hi, this is Deacon John Wilson, Education Enrichment Director for West Angeles Church, here to talk about the hearing that was had for AB 1217, got that wrong last time, and AB 500, which had a recent hearing in the Assembly in the Education Subcommittee. And of course, we stand opposed to changing the UC requirements to allow the validation possibly, I would say probably, with courses that don't have advanced algebra in them. Uh, Data science is not a replacement for Algebra 2, nor is business math, business algebra. Those don't replace Algebra 2. UC and CSU are not career schools, parents. They're preparing students to get, a lot of them to get degrees that require higher math. And how can they do it without Algebra 2? I don't see it unless they've decided that, well, they don't think that our kids can do Algebra 2. So they're making everybody suffer. I don't know. But I've had too many counselors this last year, about four, three in LAUS, three in Long Beach, and one in LAUSD, tell students who were going to do science curriculum, one was going to try to do computer science, that they didn't need Algebra 2. This is senseless, but this bill will allow this to happen, in my opinion. Because I feel like if UC comes back and says you can't, I think there's going to be some kind of hey, they're already doing it. All right, let's take a look at the testimony now. Let's go there. And I want you to hear three things. Assemblyman Mike Fong, who's the co-chair, his opening statement. Then I want you to hear what LAUSD says. Now I'm going to react to it as it goes. I'll try to keep this video short. I encourage you, parents and people who are friends, watch the video all the way through to the end. I want you informed on what's happening in our schools, okay, in the area of math requirements. All right, stand by. Let's take a look at that. Sorry about that. I'll get it to you in a moment here.
Whenever you're ready, sir. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Last October, this committee and the Assembly Higher Education Committee held an informational hearing to discuss a change in what would qualify a student for undergraduate admission to the UC and by extension the CSU. During the course of the oversight hearing, we learned the UC made a decision to remove data science and statistics as a viable alternative to Algebra 2 without.
No, they didn't. There wasn't a decision by the UC, the recognized UC academic body, the boards, or anything else to do that. It was what I've determined is an administrative error. You'll hear more about that error in a minute. So that's wrong what he's saying. It's wrong. It's not right. It wasn't a case where they changed it, now they want to change it back. That's what they're presenting. And they're saying, hey, that change back needs to be coordinated with the school district. Why? Because they're already letting kids through without having Algebra 2. And these kids are going to find out they can't do STEM, but that's another subject for another day. Let's continue.
Consultation with K-12 and CSU stakeholders. When determining the type of courses that would validate Algebra 2, the University of California compared high school courses with collegiate courses. As stated by the chair of the UC boards, the UC uses K-12 content standards to evaluate high school courses as meeting H to G. However, the question remains what occurs when the State Board of Education has authorized frameworks.
Well, they authorized a framework, but they did not require, and nor can they tell a college like UC and other colleges for that matter, what math is acceptable. The framework is not a requirement. The school districts individually have to determine what they're going to do, and they submit plans to UC. And UC can turn those down. And I'm sure they're going to turn down the request to make IDS an approved math as a third math. They're hoping they can get all these students taking IDS or something else and just say, we can't change it now. It's probably what's going on. So I resent that he's bringing in the framework as some kind of requirement. Let's hear that again.
However, the question remains what occurs when the State Board of Education has authorized frameworks, model curriculum, or assigned content standards to courses that the UC does not view as preparing students for admission. Assembly Bill 1217 requests the UC to use K-12 content standards, framework, and model curriculum when evaluating whether a course qualifies as A to G. A to G is the minimum criteria a student must have to be qualified for admission to the UC.
So let me get this straight. UC is supposed to look at high school curriculum and the framework and decide, but not at what makes sense inside of UC, the institution. That's what he didn't say here. I don't know what he's talking about in that sense. Let's continue.
And the CSU. This measure would also align the A to G course approval process to the K-12 academic calendar. By having courses submitted sooner in the year, K-12 districts would have time to adjust student schedules if a course is not A to G approved. Here to testify in support is Sasha Horowitz with the Los Angeles Unified School District and Ellen Monroy for any technical questions. Thank you.
Now here comes the testimony of LAUSD. Listen closely.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Thank you, Assemblymember Fong. Sasha Horowitz with the Los Angeles Unified School District. At LAUSD, we like to say we prepare children to be ready for the world. And as part of that, we are committed to removing barriers to college access for all students. The transition from high school to college can be one of the more...
So he wants to remove barriers. He wants to make it easier to get in, UC, but not concerning himself with the content of their math learning. That's not even what they're leading with. They're not arguing it at all. They want to, again, lower the standards of UC in the area of math. CSU too, I guess. Let's continue.
difficult challenges in a young adult's life. And this is not helped by the lack of alignment between K-12 systems and higher ed segments in their evaluation of course content standards. This bill urges UC and CSU systems to align their model academic standards and criteria for undergraduate admissions with the content standards frameworks and model curriculum adopted by the State Board of Education. Doing so will help create processes that allow local education agencies such as LAUSD to submit our high school courses for review to ensure they satisfy UC and CSU's content standards. Far from being overly prescriptive, this bill is simply an opportunity to improve coordination on undergraduate admissions criteria. For these reasons, we respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
He didn't deal with the content of Algebra 2 and replacing it. But watch what Jelani Nelson does, after these statements in support of 1217.
Thank you. Next witness? Sorry, is that it? Okay, perfect. Okay, anyone else in support in the room, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Valerie Johnson with the Campaign for College Opportunity and Support.
Good afternoon, Carlos Rojas representing the Kern County Superintendent of Schools in support.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, anyone in opposition, please come forward.
Wish I was there.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, whenever you're ready.
Wilson, a computer science professor, thank you, and chair at UC, computer science professor and chair at UC Berkeley.
This is Jelani Nelson. He's a computer science chair at UC Berkeley. Listen to his comments closely.
Remarks today are my own and do not represent UC or the Berkeley campus. This bill's introduction follows a letter by its authors to the UC Regents on the matter of high school data science versus Algebra 2. This committee received a letter from Deacon Wilson of a Los Angeles church who over 25 years mentored thousands of inner city kids to enter UC and CSU, mostly black and brown. He stated several recent mentees were steered by their schools away from Algebra 2 and toward the Introduction to Data Science, or IDS course that's offered at LAUSD that fails to prepare students. A potential violation of Ed Code Section 66204 that prohibits directing kids away from college preparedness.
See, that's, I think, the issue. State code says not to direct students away from college preparedness. You saw in the letter I wrote to this committee, I do cover that. And again, look below in the description block, and you will see a link to read that letter, and you'll see also this video as well. Let's go on.
The IDS creator wrote his course contains, quote, just a dash of math, and is not intended for elite students. Rather, he suggests enrolling minority students with high math failure rates into his math-like class, where it's much easier to get better grades. And now this vision of academic apartheid is being realized. The deacon states his mentees are being directed into this lower track. This bill has gotten the story backwards. UC's revocation of such courses wasn't anti-equity. Rather, CSU requested this action to protect children from deeply substandard curricula, while UC continues to approve data science courses that actually align with state standards in support of the math framework. UC's actions were praised by the Black STEM alumni.
That's important to understand. There could be IDS courses that contain enough algebra too. Maybe the LAUSD should concentrate on getting those in there, getting those submitted to UC.
Alumni Club BSAC at my own university and by most Black faculty nearest to data science across UC. I am the son of an African immigrant mother and a Black American father. My dad's grandparents on one side were a school teacher widowed with 6 kids, and on the other, a prostitute and her Italian mobster customer. I was destined to inherit brokenness and poverty, yet here I am, chair of computer science at the world's top public university. Quality public education altered my grandparents' trajectory, preparing them well for college to eventually get an ED and the other an MD. Even in the racist America of the 1930s and 40s, my grandparents weren't funneled into mathless math classes. Mr. Fong, I urge you to withdraw this bill. Thank you.
Okay, so that's his testimony. And I think there are going to be some interesting comments by this panel.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the dais. Are there any comments from committee members? Assemblymember Alvarez.
Thank you. I want to thank Mr. Fong for presenting this bill and for the oversight that was done in the fall, as you mentioned. I am not news to you since we sit together on our committee on education finance for our state budget. I am always deeply concerned when additional roadblocks are placed for students to have access.
See how the game is played? Roadblocks. It's a roadblock to require a student to take Algebra 2 before they go to college. I think you'll find out that his reason is that his daughter either was confused or couldn't do Algebra 2, or he didn't take the time to understand it. Maybe that's what his concern was when he saw his house. And just because their children can't do math as well, it should not go on everybody to follow the requirement. Now, I'll let you hear his statements without my comments.
To our public university systems. And now as a father of a freshman who's navigating which courses to take, and as a college-educated person myself, as my wife who actually helps, her full-time job is to get first-generation kids into college, and that's all she focuses on, and tries to understand the college admission process and system. I can tell you it's still incredibly challenging to figure out whether our daughter.
Well, if our goal is just to get students into college, let's lower all the requirements. By the way, he said he switched. He said college and not UC or CSU. I think he means UC or CSU. I hope that's what he means. But I think he's arguing for the requirements to be lowered to allow more students in to a UC system that's already highly impacted. You know, I don't know what he's talking about here. I've tried to figure it out. Let me continue it.
daughter is taking the right classes in high school to make sure that she meets the requirements. Obviously we communicate with counselors, but there's a lot of other students who don't. I just put myself, as an example. I was a first generation student, and my parents were never going to be able to figure out what courses I needed to take in order to make sure I was on the pathway to get to college. Certainly we had supports at the school who helped, but I am just a believer that in general, our education systems need to break down more barriers, not create more walls for students to have access. And so I see your bill as an attempt to do that. And I appreciate that you're focused in on ensuring that we're not, some people say, dumbing down a curriculum. No, we're still making sure that students are prepared and competitive, because it's aligned with standards, as you well stated in your remarks. So I just want to say thank you.
Which standards, though? I say it should be UC's admission standards. Any confusion has come from people who are helping underserved kids get into college. They want to lower the requirements. And why should that happen? These students should take 3 years of math. They should have good grades in all their courses. That's how we go to college. I don't understand. And just because UC says you need 3 years of math doesn't automatically need to block minority students from getting to college, which is what David Alvarez is talking about.
Thank you for the work you do as chair of the Higher Education Committee. Thank you for highlighting through this bill one of the barriers of the many others that exist to prevent students from having a pathway that's clear to get to college. And in this case, I'm very happy to support your bill and move it. And again, thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nope.
Okay, so there it is. Our program, myself, we cannot support 1217. It is not good for my parents or your students or my students. And I'm going to be reaching out. If anybody from LAUSD is hearing this, I'm going to reach out to you and find out, why you're moving to support this. I don't understand it. And I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Representative Alvarez's office and ask him, does he think, actually, Fong, Representative Fong, and ask him, does he think the CMF, the math framework, is a requirement? All right, that's enough of that. If you like this kind of video, if you're interested in this, click like and subscribe to see more videos like this, that, and to improve our reach. Comment below. I love your comments. It helps me. If this kind of video was helpful to you, please let me know. Okay, God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.